If you want to play in Southeast Asia, you've got to be aware of the foreign import rules. So today I'm going to look at Southeast Asian countries and go over their foreign quota rules. So I'm not going to cover all the leagues in Southeast Asia, but I'm going to cover the majority of them: Singapore, Thailand, Indonesia, Philippines, Malaysia. I'm going to touch on Myanmar and Cambodia. And also not going to really talk about Brunei or East Timor because I don't know much about them. If you do, then let me know. If you've played in there before or you've got a friend playing there, let me know how the leagues are in the comments below. Okay, so we'll start off with the Cambodian League. The first division, there's 14 teams in that league and they are allowed 5 foreigners. 4 can come from anywhere, and then the 5th must come from an AFC country, so an Asian country like Australia, Japan, Korea. And only 4 are allowed on the field at one time. So when I was looking this up, there was one team called Visaka, and surprisingly they've got 2 North Korean players on their team. These 2 North Korean players also play for their national team of North Korea. So my teammate Mustafa Zazai is also playing there at the moment for a team called Phnom Penh, and he comes under the Asian quota rule, so the AFC spot. He is from Afghanistan, and Afghanistan is part of the Asian Confederation. Okay, Myanmar next. It's composed of 12 teams and each team is allowed 3 foreigners plus the 1 Asian foreigner. So 4 altogether. So with Indonesia, there is 18 teams in this first division league and they're allowed 4 foreigners and 1 has to be an Asian foreigner. So in Indonesia, there's a lot of Brazilians playing in that league, and also for the Asian spot, there's a lot of Japanese and Korean players. There is also, over the last couple years, more players coming from like Tajikistan, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, places like this, and they're entering the Asian leagues. In Indonesia, one of the biggest teams is called Persija Jakarta, and the Asian foreigner in that team is Rohit Chan, and he's actually from Nepal, and he's the captain of the Nepalese team. And if you remember a few months ago, I made a video of me visiting Nepal and meeting the national team of Nepal and interviewing Rohit Chan. He's got a really interesting story. He left his home when he was young and he went to this academy in Kathmandu and he learned everything there about football. And since then he's gone his career all the way to Persija Jakarta, and he's been there for many years now. So moving on to Thailand. Thailand has 4 divisions, so 126 teams altogether. Now the first division has 16 teams, the second division has 18 teams, the third division is broken up into a northern and southern region, and then the fourth division is broken, I think, into 6 different regions. And altogether, like I said before, 126 professional teams. So the first division in Thailand is interesting. They have different rules again to other parts of Southeast Asia. So they're allowed to sign 3 foreigners plus 1 Asian foreigner plus up to 3 ASEAN, so ASEAN, Southeast Asian players. Now these Southeast Asian players have to have international caps to qualify for these spots or get approval from the Thailand Football Association. So in this league you see a lot of Filipino national team players joining this league. Also there's a couple, I think, from Vietnam and Cambodia and Myanmar. Not many of the Thailand teams have these Southeast Asian players because the Thai players are really good. They're allowed to sign up to 3, but most only have 1. So with Malaysia in the first division, you're allowed 3 foreigners plus the 1 Asian quota. In my team, we've got Edgar Bernat. He is the captain of Kyrgyzstan. And then also in Malaysia, you're allowed 1 spot for the ASEAN, the Southeast Asian. And in my team, we've got a Singapore national team player, centre back. In the second division in Malaysia, you're allowed 3 foreigners plus 1 Asian, and there's no Southeast Asian quota. And then for the third division in Malaysia, it's like semi-professional. I think they still train pretty much every day. They're allowed 2 foreigners. So moving on to Vietnam, 14 teams in the first division, 3 foreigners plus 1 Asian, and for the second division there are no foreigners. Okay, Singapore. So now Singapore has a strange league. They only have 9 teams in their league in the first division. The second division is not professional. So with the first division, there's actually 2 teams from different countries. There's one called I don't know how to pronounce it, Albirex, and they're a Japanese team, and then also 1 team from Brunei. So with this Japanese team, they have to have 2 Singaporeans in their starting lineup for each game. Now the Brunei team can sign 3 foreigners, and then with the local Singaporean teams, they can sign 4 players. However, 2 players need to be under 21. So a lot of teams only have 1 under 21 player, maybe because their budget isn't big enough for that second under 21 player. So I asked my friend who played in Singapore before, and he said that for the second division they're allowed to sign 2 foreigners. However, that may have changed. I'm not sure about the rule. And finally, with the Philippines, they are allowed 3 foreigners plus 1 Asian quota. So it's always important every season to look up the foreign quota rules because they change every year. So for example, in Malaysia last year, the rules were something like if you wanted to play in Malaysia, then your last team, if you're coming from Europe, had to be in the first or second division. So that's why a majority of players here were coming from Eastern European countries like Croatia, Montenegro, places like this. Obviously it doesn't make sense for a German second division player to come here because Germany's second division is so much higher, so much better than here. So there you have it, guys. These are the foreign quota rules in Southeast Asia. They change every season, so make sure you're checking them out before you come. If you want to trial in Asia, then you should really know about the rules. Alright guys, hope you enjoyed this little informational video, and until next time, ciao.